Hey, good afternoon, good morning, good day to everybody. I just wanted to say thank you one more time for tuning into my channel. It is greatly appreciated. Yeah, I don't get a lot of views, but I do thank those that would take the time to watch my videos. So, what I'm going to talk about today has to do with what I've been calling the kangaroo court that has been taking place in our country, and that would be this quote impeachment thing that's going on. Yesterday, I took the time to watch the initial phases of the impeachment trial, if you want to call it that. And let's just say I, in many ways, was appalled. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I can't believe taxpayer dollars are being wasted. And the reason I state that has to do with the fact that the witnesses that were brought forth yesterday, and I use the term witnesses very loosely, but we'll call them witnesses anyway. And those witnesses that came forth yesterday basically stated stuff that was hearsay. And it reminded me of Ferris Bueller's Day. And that quote in Ferris goes like this: "My best friend's sister's boyfriend's brother's girlfriend heard from a guy who knows a kid going with a girl who saw Ferris pass out at 31 Flavors last night." My point being is yesterday felt like watching that. Nothing but hearsay. I heard from somebody who told me who said this. And are we seriously reaching that point in our society when hearsay is going to become factual based, under which we decide to remove a duly elected president who was voted by the people? I think we're going down some serious waters that could potentially lead to the destruction of our country as we know it if we continue to go down this road and accuse the president of things that he hasn't done, overreaching his authority, overstepping his power. They throw a fit when he removes ambassadors from seated positions when that's part of his, shall we say, job description. Under the Constitution, he has the right to do that. That the ambassadors serve at his whim, and he can remove them for whatever reason. And so now we're looking at, it seems like yesterday, as they were progressing in this testimony, that we're shifting away from this quid pro quo issue to now that he's blackmailing issue. And that led to hearing from so many Democrats who more or less were pitching out facts that were solely based on speculation. So in other words, they weren't facts at all. They've got no evidence of what they were saying was true. They have no evidence of what they were saying actually took place. It's just a theory. It's kind of like how our schools are teaching our kids that evolution is now fact and no longer theory. And yet there still hasn't been any good proof out there, or I should almost say any proof at all, that evolution actually happens. That man has indeed evolved from apes, so on and so forth. That we evolved from a single cell organism. That all life began on the back of a comet. I mean, we're reaching into theories and we're pitching them as fact, and that's basically what these Democrats are doing. They're theorizing this case, the scheme that took place without any facts to it, and they're driving this narrative on as if Donald Trump actually did do it. And it's almost as if they came to work yesterday and decided, you know what, the narrative that Donald Trump set out, this transcript of the phone call, doesn't mean nothing. We don't care about that. What we care about is what this person said to that person who said to that person who now informed this person that this took place. And this is troubled water. I'm not an attorney. I've not studied law. But this is troubling that our society has reached this point. So I'm going to give you another quote that I found very disturbing. This quote on hearsay, I'm going to quote, coming directly from Congressman Mike Quigley. I would love to implant the file under which you can see it yourself, but what I will do is I will put a link below in the description of this video where you can go and see the quote yourself if you wanted to. It comes towards the end in the 4-minute and 30 or 4-minute and 20 some second range. But anyway, I'll put that in the description below. But what this quote says, and I'm going to read it here, says, "I think the American public needs to be reminded that countless people have been convicted on hearsay because the courts have routinely allowed and created needed exceptions to hearsay. Hearsay can be much better evidence than direct, as we have learned in painful instances and certainly vowed in this instance." Let me state that last part one more time. Hearsay can be much better evidence than direct, as we have learned in painful instances and certainly vow in this instance. So I guess he's trying to argue that because certain documents haven't been released by the Trump administration to this kangaroo court, they're claiming that hearsay in this case is better evidence than direct evidence. So they're wanting to impeach a president, convict him for some wrongdoing he's done, all based on hearsay and not fact. And how in the world can hearsay ever be better than direct evidence itself? The direct evidence put before the American people was Donald Trump releasing the transcript of the conversation. Further direct evidence can be found in the fact that the president of Ukraine has stated numerous times in interviews that he wasn't coerced or blackmailed. I don't know the exact language he's used, but you can find those videos yourself. They're out there, where he's saying Donald Trump didn't pressure him in any way, shape, or form. And when you look at the evidence itself and the fact that this whole started off of this whole quid pro quo problem, is the fact that when Donald Trump made the phone call back in July, the Ukrainians didn't even know there was money allocated to be sent to them. In fact, from the mouth of the ambassador to Ukraine, Ambassador Taylor, he stated himself that he spoke to the president of Ukraine 3 times, and of the 2 of those times that he spoke to him were before the president of Ukraine was even made aware of the money being allocated to be sent to them for for weapons. So we got the president of Ukraine stating that there was no direct pressure by the president. The pressure coming from, do this research for me on corruption and I will release you the money. That didn't even come about. And that's why this whole quid pro quo thing doesn't exist. And as far as blackmail, I guess they're trying to say that Donald Trump was blackmailing the president of Ukraine, do this corruption research on Joe Biden and Joe Biden's son, and in return, we'll give you this money. And that's not the case. There's no evidence that even took place. Now, should he have him look into the possible wrongdoings of Joe Biden's son and Joe Biden himself? Yeah, I think we should be looking into that. As a country, we should look at that. You know, Joe Biden's own mouth says a quid pro quo thing. Fire the prosecutor or you're not going to get your $1 billion. And he laughed about it and how wonderful it was that by him doing that, he gave him 6 hours to do it and they terminated the guy. Yet worse news media jumping on the fact that the guy that was terminated was investigating the corruption within Burisma, who was employing his son. So I really think we should be looking into that. And there's your quid pro quo right there. Fire the guy, you don't get your money. So you want quid pro quo, look no further than Joe Biden. But in this case against Donald Trump, there's nothing. And so one more time, we've had months long, years long of investigation into Donald Trump, colluding with the Russians. And, that went over like a roll of rocks. I mean, it went nowhere. It was a nothing burger. There was nothing there. And then they bring in Mueller to explain his thing, and Mueller's sitting there, and he's completely oblivious to what is even written in this Mueller report. It's as if the guy running the investigation had no clue what was even written in the report. And so that went over, again, like a roll of rocks down a hill, went nowhere other than into a river or stream or lake or the bottom of the hill. There was nothing to it. It was, again, another big, giant nothing burger. And that went the same road with their Donald Trump obstruction of justice garbage, where the Democrats were constantly saying, no one's above the law. No one's above the law. No one's above the law. Yet, why aren't they saying, let's look at what actually transpired with Hillary Clinton, who committed multiple felonies? Where's the no one's above the law in that case? So it's almost as if no one's above the law if you're a conservative. But if you're liberal and you're a Democrat, or you're of the hierarchy of American government, should we even say the aristocracy of the American government, and you're on the left, you get a pass. You get the free get out of jail free card. But if you're a Republican or a conservative, we're going to smear you and we're going to utterly destroy you because we disagree with what you say. We disagree with your ideas. And therefore, the only best thing that could happen is to destroy you completely. And that is what they're doing with Donald Trump. So far, we've had no evidence of wrongdoing of Donald Trump. Have we had incidences where Donald Trump lied? Sure. In some cases, I would attribute some of those lies as fitting in the bill of hyperbole. He's doing it on purpose, I believe, in many ways. Some cases, I think it's just he doesn't have all the facts, and or he's just misquoting the facts that he was given. But are we really going to look at presidents who lie? Because I think we should stop nowhere short of those who came before Trump. Because unfortunately, politicians have a tendency to lie. And should we look no further than Adam Schiff himself, who's lied continuously to the American people and who's leading this kangaroo court, so to speak, that is based on lies. And we're moving forward. And again, taxpayer dollars are being spent. We already spent close to somewhere in the neighborhood of $40 million on Mueller. Now we're spending more money on this non-quid pro quo issue. So for me, the issue here is this. We got Democrats that have nothing. They hate Donald Trump with an absolute passion. Many of those in the bureaucracy of our country, which I would call the swamp, the unelected officials of our country, and the unelected officials who are setting government regulations like the one that affects the model airplanes, where we have to register our model airplanes now, they're not even elected to the position. They're just passing regulation on regulation on regulation because, well, it's our job. We can't fire them, we can't terminate them, and we definitely can't vote them out of position, and yet they're there still passing more regulations, and these people hate Donald Trump as well. I'm not saying the two that testified yesterday are anti-Trumpers. I'm not willing to go down the road that Trump is on that by calling them never Trumpers. They might be. Their own mouths, they say they're not. I don't know what to think on that aspect, but what I do know and what I have seen from many of the upper level, upper tier, we should say, of our government bureaucracy, many of them hate him. They hate him with a passion. They're leaking constantly. They're spreading lies. They go on CNN. They lie all the time. And it's to pitch this leftist, we hate Trump agenda. They hate the fact that Donald Trump is operating differently than any other president in our history. He's doing his job. He's doing the job that's been granted to him by the American people, and he's doing the job that has been granted to him under the Constitution of the United States. And I'm sure his attorneys, Jay Sekulow, Rudy Giuliani, are constantly on him to make sure that he's sticking to the Constitution and not stepping outside the bounds of it. And yet these Democrats say he is. And they're doing it based off of what? No evidence, hearsay, and made up stories. Speculation. What a shame our country's at. And it's absolutely despicable that these people still hold their jobs, that these people are still allowed to hold their seats in Congress, and that they haven't been removed. And all they do is come out and lie routinely. Now let's look at this case from another perspective. There were people interviewing those or questioning those before them yesterday. They want to say that Donald Trump wanted the president to investigate the Bidens because he's a political rival. Joe Biden, political rival, running for president. Not sure he's going to make it, but he is running for president, so he would be a rival of Donald Trump. And they're saying he's wanting him to get dirt on Biden, and therefore that's wrong. And I'm not going to get into the fact of whether a president should go to a foreign country to look for dirt on someone else. I just know the history of politics. The politicians are always trying to dig up dirt, whether they're Republican, whether they're conservative, whether the Green Party, Libertarian, you name it, they're always out to try and dig up dirt on the other one because they want to make the other one look bad so that they can get the position. And so they're looking at this fact of questioning, research into the corruption, and they're trying to say do this and do that, and yet they themselves have done it. They themselves went to the Ukrainians for dirt on Trump in 2016 election. They themselves bought the dossier, paid for it, not factually based, completely unfounded, and they pitched that, and that was that stupid dossier that brought up the whole Trump-Russia collusion 2 years plus of Mueller investigation. And yet they themselves were going to a foreign country looking for dirt on Donald Trump to prevent him from becoming president. And that's a shame. I understand the looking up dirt. I understand the political rivals. But to say Donald Trump can't do it, yet we do it, is utter hypocrisy. And so we have those sitting in this kangaroo court questioning these witnesses who themselves have something to gain if Donald Trump is unseated, because they themselves are running for president. And as far as I'm concerned, they should all be recused. And the one leading the thing, since he had contact with the whistleblower, if we want to call him that, because he's really not a whistleblower, he's really a leaker, he should be recused. So Schiff shouldn't even be there because he's got a part of this thing. I think his name's Julian Castro. Not quite sure on the first name, not too sure on the last name, but believe that's what it is. He shouldn't be there either because he has something to gain on this impeachment, i.e., get rid of a strong political rival because I've got no chance on God's green earth of being president as long as he's there. So, I'm going to question and I'm going to make Trump look bad because I got something to gain from it. And should this impeachment thing end up in the Congress, we have a whole bunch of active congressmen currently on the Democrat ticket. The list is long. Look at them. You got the crazy man Bernie Sanders. You've got the one gal Harris or whatever her name is. These guys are such fruitcakes. I can't even remember their names. The gal out of California, fruitcake herself. Then you've got Pocahontas, this gal that advanced her career and advanced her life by claiming an Indian heritage, which she is not. These people have something to gain. And none of them are going to recuse themselves from voting for impeachment should this thing ever get to the Congress. And by all means, they should recuse themselves because they've got, again, something to gain if Donald Trump is impeached. We impeach this strong political rival, our gain would be great. So there's my thoughts on this kangaroo court. I know it's not done yet. I'm sure they're going to bring more witnesses, but if these are the strongest witnesses the Democrats have, people who have never actually met Donald Trump himself, people who didn't witness the phone conversation themselves, didn't witness what was going on behind the scenes on why the monies were delayed for a period of time before being sent to the country. This is what they got. We are seriously in trouble as a nation. Now, one more thought that I'm going to add to this is the monies that the U.S. gives to foreign countries. We give a lot. Millions upon millions of dollars, if not into the billions of dollars, are given out every single year to foreign nations. And in many ways, I personally think we need to end that practice. And that alone is a thought for another video and a thought on another day. But for now, I'm just going to leave you with that. Should we be allocating monies to foreign nations? Leave your thoughts below if you want to add into this. Leave your comments below on what you think of this video, what I've said. If you like what I've done today, please do me a favor, hit like and subscribe. I don't have a lot of subscribers. I'd love to see those numbers come up. And then I can buy better equipment, better cameras, maybe better microphones, get a better computer, software for editing, and just all around enhance what I'm doing. And maybe even expand into different topics, whether they be biblical, whether they be political, local. I'd love to reach out to those. So please hit like and subscribe, and maybe we can grow this channel and I can do a lot more. So thank you for the time. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, and have yourself a wonderful afternoon.